What are your roommate horror stories? Not me. But my cousin had a roommate her freshman year of college that had to listen to Harry Potter book 1 on tape every single night to fall asleep. My cousin bought her headphones but she refused to wear them because they hurt her ears. She would play it on a portable speaker loud enough to keep my cousin awake all night. The worst part. She wouldn't even start the tape where she left off the previous night. She would play the beginning every night over and over again. MR. And MRS. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive. Edit. It gets worse. Turns out the roommate wasn't even a fan of the series. Had never watched any of the movies or read the other books. Didn't know any characters. My old roommate was dating a good friend of mine. One day, after her spending the night, they went out for lunch. His dog came out of his room with a tissue in her mouth. I stopped her, grabbed it and went to throw it out when my hand felt really wet. It was a condom. Fully loaded. And when I grabbed it, I guess I squeezed it because my hand was now covered in my roommate's cum. It's been years and I still haven't told him about it. New. Edit. Years of witty Reddit comebacks and this one elongated word is the one that gets gilded. Thanks I guess. I came home after work one morning to smoke barreling out of my oven. My roommate left a pizza cooking all night while passed out drunk. He lived through the smoke but everything I owned including all my furniture and property reeked of putrid smoke for 3 weeks. Is that a raw chicken breast on the tap in the bathroom? One of my roommates on seeing a raw chicken breast left on the bathroom tap by my other roommate. My roommate was from Appalachia, West Virginia. Gets drunk and catches a mess of squirrels, brings them inside the apartment house. They're all in the same damn cage. When he opens it up to clean one before cooking it, they all shoot out and run off. Dude stumbles around trying to catch them all again, knocking shit over. Had a roommate freshman year in a shared room who was training for a bodybuilding competition. He would wake up at 5, make a ton of noise, go for a run, come back at 6, go to the gym, come back and pose in front of the mirror, sometimes in the nude, all while I was clearly awake. He would also go to bed at 8 PM and get pissed if any noise was made. The clicking of the keys on my phone once set him off because he needed beauty rest. I've posted this before, but my first roommates invaded my privacy by stealth installing screen viewer software on my desktop and cyberstalking me. They would do shit like ban my MAC address from the router, which belonged to me, type while I was trying to do homework assignments on my computer, harass me by typing expletives, putting a hard drive in my computer and cloning my main drive onto it, and out me to other roommates and online friends to a certain fandom I was part of at the time. I genuinely believed I was being targeted by an online hacker. I was just a naive, sheltered child with social anxiety. It wasn't until the only decent roommate I had opened up to me and told me what was going on. There were other things, like threats of ganging up on me, and shit like saran wrap on the toilet seat and peanut butter in my shoes. And that, kids, is why you password protect all your devices. Even if you don't think you'll need it. Takes 1 second to type the password. Freshman year of college I got stuck with a smelly, antisocial dude who would call his mom on the landline. This was on the cusp of the cell phone explosion in our room and complain about his classes and professors in the whiniest tone for about 2 hours every single night. He never once hung out with us despite our encouragement, and by the second month in we stopped talking completely. I wonder how he's doing. First year college I was living in an old Hungarian widow's house where she rented out 3 rooms. It was a good quiet place to study and not get distracted. So one of my fellow renters was a quiet nerdy girl who lived in the basement. She was no problem. Then there was Phil. Phil was a 500-pound bachelor in his 40s who claimed to be a professional pilot and millionaire, all while renting a room for $400. He would cook steaks the size of my head and then blame his dishes on me to the old lady who had no idea what to do about it. He'd steal my food. If my girlfriend was over he'd stir it and wheeze so loudly we could hear. He couldn't fit on the toilet in our tiny shared bathroom, so he would sh-tea in the shower and waffle stomping down the drain, leaving a horrible sh-tea smell and brown stains in the shower. That last one. FCK. I am the horror story. When I drink equals I cook. My roommate's boyfriend moved in with us to get back on his feet, which was supposed to be a couple weeks at the most. He kept ordering PRN on our cable box, and when I told her he had to go, he refused to leave. We called the cops and they made us allow him 30 days to vacate. It was the most awkward situation. Pair this with the fact that I had to hide my food in my bedroom because my roommate would get up in the middle of the night and eat my Pop-Tarts. Kept ordering PRN. Okay. I had a horrible nightmare roommate who had no sense of smell. Her boyfriend was a creep who lived with us without my permission, and they each paid 1/4 of the rent while I paid half. He also loved to leave hair in the bathroom sink. She got pet rats that stank. And they escaped and ate pooped on a bunch of my stuff when I was out of the apartment on winter break. My first semester in college, I had a roommate who was a spoiled brat. She didn't know how to use a washing machine. She had so much tea that my stuff was just this little blob of blue in a sea of pink. She was always cold, so kept the temperature up really high. She would always bring guys back to the dorm room and I'd have to hang out in the common room. I finally got fed up with that. She brought a guy back and tried getting up to something. She kept giving me looks and I just ignored her. He finally left and she was like, "Why didn't you leave?" I told her to FCK off because it was my room too. Though. She once left a guy in our dorm to go run off and do something. He was pretty cool and we watched a football game together. One night, as some of us sat downstairs enjoying mushrooms, we had one of those fabled shared illusions that our ceiling was exploding and bulging. Then a foot appeared through it, followed by roommate's face. He cursed. Then another roommate's face appeared, and he cheered. It turned out they had argued over which downstairs room or bedroom was above. So they ripped up a floorboard and kicked the ceiling through. I read this 3 times and I came up with the exact same question each time. What? I caught my college roommate masturbating more than 3 times in the first semester. He transferred. I also had a roommate who was excessively green, meaning he would sort through our recycling and trash and then hold house meetings, explain why certain types of things were going in the wrong container. I learned a lot about recycling, but it kind of got to be too much. Also, quite a few too many roommates prefer to have their dishes soak when we have a perfectly good dishwasher. Not my story, but my neighbor had a roommate freshman year who was a total stoner. So much so that he rarely left his room. 1/2 of the school year through. He got pretty sick, smoked more weed and left his room even less. Never went to the doctor because he was always stoned and didn't want to get caught. He was sick for the entire 3rd and 4th quarter. Mid-4th quarter, he busts out of his room and yells, "I just shit blood. Take me to the hospital." He went and found out his appendix burst a month ago, and he could have easily died at any second. He also had some other kind of severe virus that I can't quite remember what it was called, but also could have easily killed him had he gone any longer without a doctor. Scary to think how easy somebody can fall into something like that. A month? I didn't realize you could live for 24 hours with a burst appendix, let alone a month. I have a B-man WH Ray of a roommate, and I love him to death. But Jesus Christ, he's the most shameless person I've ever met. He constantly walks around naked, is the loudest sex haver in the world, and has people coming and going at all hours of the night. It's like living with a brown Liberace. 4 of us lived in a 4-bedroom house. My roommate had a pretty serious girlfriend who was over all the time. One day she came up to me and asked if I was alright with splitting rent 5 ways instead of 4. Of course I am. She then asked the other 2 roommates the same thing. Yes, answers all around. Finally she approached her boyfriend to ask if she could move in with us since all of his roommates already said it was alright. Wait. What was that? She hadn't asked him about it yet. One of my roommates was a real slob. We got on his ass about messes in the kitchen, but there wasn't much we could do about his room. Anyways, one night we woke up to his yells, and when I opened his door a raccoon ran out of his room, which my other roommate shot and killed. My dirty ass roommate fell asleep with his window open, and a raccoon ended up coming in and eating random shit strewn about his room. In university dorms I lived in a townhouse style unit with 3 other people for a single summer semester. One never cooked, dining hall, and was pretty cool. The other 2 would cook, but would leave food scraps out, wouldn't take out the garbage ever, and would only clean dishes when they wanted to use them again. I'm not a tidy person myself, but the kitchen became unbearably awful. We started getting fruit flies and they multiplied into swarms. They would cluster together on walls in the hundreds. I put out trap selectivity so they didn't really make it into other parts of the dorm, i.e. my room, and basically stopped using the kitchen. The thing about my school was that whoever left last was responsible for the damage deposit. Stupid system. I cleaned my crap out of the kitchen, did a garbage run, cleaned my room and half my shared bathroom, and bailed, leaving the 2 messy ones to deal with whatever was left. I had a roommate that would play video games on his laptop all day in the same seat. He was clean and out of the way, but my dog didn't like him. One day I got home and there was blood on the walls close to the door and the window. She pooped and peed in the room, which was the first time, and blood there too. I looked at her and there was blood coming out of her mouth, and I took her to vet ER. She was missing a little bit of her tongue. When I got back home I asked him what happened and he said nothing happened. The dog refused to come out of the room, and later on I caught him tossing the dog off the couch and laugh. Kicked him out and made his parents pay rent money he owed. My dog immediately was happier. Worked as a stripper for a while, so was roommate with a coworker. Walked in on her and some guy fully naked and her snorting coke off the dude's erect penis in the middle of the apartment. I mean, you do have a room, Cindy. Go do whatever you wanna do in there. My first college roommate refused to take meds or get vaccinated for the flu because she didn't want to put chemicals into her body. She had to leave school because she took too much LSD and her parents put her in rehab. She broke my couch by being fat and sitting on it. So instead of couch surfing she goes around couch killing? Oh yay. Well, right now I don't have a place of my own, so I'm just out murdering couches until I can get on my feet. The one thing that bugs me about my roommate the most is since I've lived here she has somehow adopted at least 5 of my chargers. Like, mine will go missing and I keep buying replacements and sometimes hide them. Then she'll ask to borrow one again and it's suddenly hers. Where are the first 5 I bought? Where the FCK are they? Does her boyfriend have a giant pile of them at his? In the 2 years I've lived here she has not bought her own charger once. And she seems to FCK every charger she's ever used. It's like a never-ending cycle of me buying chargers and her adopting them. Yet I don't have the balls to say anything about it. I just get secretly furious.